You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs? Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
But no, like sometimes your balls are just like stuck to your leg and you got to move and you're like working and you can't be like adjusting your nuts in front of everybody because they do that thing where they go out of the pocket of the underwear and like you have to like move them back. So you got to be adjusting and you don't want to do that at work in front of people. That's the thing because that just doesn't look right. So you're just working straight for 2 hours, balls not behaving the way they should. And it's just, it's very annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had a tampon trying to come out because there's too much blood in it, but you can't go to the bathroom because you're in a situation like in a meeting or something, you can't go to the bathroom, but you got this tampon like trying to come out and it's penetrating you and it hurts. And then you have to cough and you have to try to hold the tampon in while you cough. And then blood just gushes everywhere in your underwear. And you have a cramp at the same time, but you can't cry about it because people call you weak. Yeah.
One time I was shaving my balls and I nicked them.
Good.
That was
good.
Kind of painful for a second.
Good.
Anyway, I think we've cleared up whose genitals suck worse. But anyway.
You ever had a 9-pound baby come out of your vag?
No. Anyway, this is a horror movie podcast. Welcome to Night of the Horror File, a horror movie podcast where I take a horror movie or genre film and show it to my beautiful wife, Brittany, who then gives us her input on whether it sucks or not, just like periods.
They suck.
They suck.
Yeah, all the
time. But what did we watch this week?
A Vampire in Brooklyn.
Speaking of suck, vampires, yo.
Vampires. Oh, yeah, they suck blood.
Yeah, they suck blood.
I was they suck. Well, yeah, I like vampires.
I mean, vampires are cool. Vampires are just a good old horror standby. Anyway, it's listener request month. May. Yay. Anyway, I'm sorry. But yes, listener request month is the month where we take you guys' requests throughout the year and then we pick them out of a fucking hat. And we get some interesting lineups. It's basically the listeners have programmed the show for this month. And I'll tell you, we got 5 movies that don't connect, that are all over the board on quality, and just it's crazy. And that's what we love about Listener Request Month. And we love you, the listeners. That's why we do this. But anyway, today's request comes from Algeria Booker. That's right. Vampire in Brooklyn, which is very... I love this movie. Mm-hmm. Like it's one of my. It's not on the perfect list. I'll give you that, okay. But it is one of my favorite Wes Craven movies. And by 1995, Wes Craven was a pretty well known director. You know, reluctantly, he was a horror master, but he still would do projects that would kind of step away from that a little bit. And that's kind of, I feel like that's what today's movie is kind of like. Even though it is a horror movie, it's more of a comedy. But he had just come off of New Nightmare from 1994, and before that, People Under the Stairs. And with those,
I like that movie.
Yeah, and with those 2 movies, you could definitely tell. As Wes Craven's entering the 90s, that he's really trying to kind of step out of the box when it comes to movies. You remember People Under the Stairs? That's way out of the box. You know, it seems like he definitely does things to step away from that being relegated to just the guy who made Freddy Krueger.
I guess I didn't realize that he made Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because his later movies don't really reflect that much. Even though most people be like, well, somebody had a nightmare in this movie. Okay. I could give you like 20 different horror movies that have a nightmare in it. That doesn't mean they created Freddy Krueger.
Right.
So like, you know, like you can definitely tell, like, especially in the movies of his in the 90s are the ones I like the most because they're so odd and so different.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in After this, he'd go on to make Scream, which was it's a massive franchise that is continuing to this day, even after he sadly passed. But he had just come off a New Nightmare, like I said, from '94. Have you ever seen that movie?
I haven't seen any movies.
That's fucking true. A New Nightmare was more along the lines of Scream, where it was kind of a meta movie. Where it was like a movie within, it's that kind of stuff. And even that was different. And he had created Freddy Krueger, and he did a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that was completely different from the entire franchise. So that's what I mean by he was definitely stepping out of the box. And today's feature is totally that too,
Oh, yeah.
Today's feature had him take on the vampire and a top of his game comedic actor. Eddie Murphy, how many Eddie Murphy movies have you seen?
Only a couple. The one where he talks to animals, Dr. Dolittle. I saw Norbit the other day for the first time.
Oh, that's a bad movie.
Yeah.
That's a really bad movie.
I saw Norbit.
That was like the beginning of the decline of Eddie Murphy's acting.
What else has
He came back with Dolomite, though, I gotta admit.
With what?
Well, he kind of it seemed like after Norbit and like Pluto Nash was around that, like before that, I think. But it seemed like after those two movies, he kind of declined. He started putting out some real stinkers, and then he came back though. He's making a comeback currently. I mean, he had done My Name is Dolomite, which is about the guy who played Rudy Moore, who played Dolomite in the old blaxploitation movies. He did one of those for Netflix, and so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's going on to do other movies, but I think you missed out on the Eddie Murphy train during the '90s.
I guess I did.
Everybody was devouring it.
I mean, I saw like bits and pieces of Coming to America.
Coming to America is my all-time favorite Eddie Murphy movie.
I know you love that movie.
That movie and Trading Spaces, those two movies are Trading Places. Sorry, Trading Spaces. Trading Places. Those two movies are like my all-time favorites. But I will tell you, I am a fucking Beverly Hills Cop fan to the max, man. That is top Eddie Murphy.
I didn't know any of these movies had Eddie Murphy in it. You're saying them, and I'm like, oh, really? Oh, okay.
Beverly Hills Cop is fucking badass. I'm surprised you haven't seen that.
Mm-mm.
It's a yearly watch for me, man. I love that series. I even love the third one that everybody hates.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I still love it. But anyway, yeah. So he's top of his game here, and it's weird because this movie was not very well received. But we'll get to that later. The original idea for this movie was a horror film, straight horror, no laughs. And it was written by Charlie Murphy and Eddie Murphy. Charlie Murphy being Eddie Murphy's brother.
Oh, okay. I assumed.
Have you ever seen anything with Charlie Murphy or anything like that? The Chappelle Show. He was definitely on there a lot. Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories.
I didn't know Eddie Murphy had a brother.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
I've heard of that.
Yes, yeah, that was his story. That was he would tell those stories on Chappelle's Show about how him and his brother would encounter celebrities and stuff. But so they wrote this along with Vernon Lynch. And like I said, their idea was a straight horror movie because Eddie Murphy wanted to play a villain. He had never gotten to play a villain. And in fact, this is the only movie of his where his character gets killed.
Oh.
Yeah. So he saw it as a piece of something that he could do that would be quite different than what he was doing. And that was kind of until Wes Craven came on board.
Right.
And along with that, the studio brought in Michael Lucker and Chris Parker. And Chris had just left Amblin Entertainment, Steven Spielberg's joint. And so he took the screenplay along with Michael, and they kind of worked the script over and turned it more into a dark comedy, more of what we have today.
Right.
Which I would like to see. It would have been cool if they did keep this a straight horror movie. Because I argue with people all the time because everybody's like, oh, Eddie Murphy's just a straight comedian. That's all he can do in movies. He can only do comedy. I'm like, no, man, you watch some of his earlier stuff like 48 Hours or like I said, Beverly Hills Cop. You watch those movies and he is capable of genuine, good shit.
Oh yeah. Being serious.
Yeah. He's capable of being it's just the thing is he has such a charisma about him.
Right.
And so he draws you in and stuff. I love Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so they reworked it into more of a dark horror movie. They kind of took Maximilian, who our vampire here, and turned him from what Charlie Murphy and Eddie Murphy had written, which was just a horror movie fucking villain. Straight vampire and stuff like that, non-redeemable and everything. And they kind of made him into a more relatable character.
Right.
Which you could argue all day whether that was the right choice or not. But I mean, it gave us what we got. And I really do like this movie. So Eddie Murphy really, this became the one movie he had to do to get to The Nutty Professor, which would come slightly after this. I think the next year.
I've seen parts of that too.
Yeah, this was kind of, he had a contract with Paramount Studios to complete a certain amount of movies for them, and they would release the rights to The Nutty Professor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's where we got this. This was the final movie. So needless to say, Eddie Murphy was not exactly super productive on this thing. He was a challenge for Wes. Even though, I bless Wes Craven, I swear. He never really said anything super awful about Eddie Murphy. But the stories I've heard, like you had moments where Eddie Murphy was like not coming to set, or like if nobody was completely ready to start filming as soon as he walked in, he would not come.
What the fuck?
Like he would stay in his trailer like for 10 hours at a time, just waiting. He would send people out to scope out the set, and if they weren't ready to shoot right then, he would not show up until they were ready to start filming.
Okay.
Yeah, and at one point, because this is the only movie he wears contact lenses, apparently he was smoking so much weed that like his eyes expanded, so they had to like refit him with new contact lenses.
Oh my god.
So and you hear those stories, and then you watch this movie, and you're like, well, he's doing it.
Right.
He's doing his job. I find that insane about actors when they do that shit, but you can't tell that there's a problem with this movie.
Right.
But it's all there. So anyway, this is kind of just a job for him in a way.
Right.
He was also really angry about the wig.
About the wig?
Because his character wears this big old wig, which I think is fine. It makes him look more like a classic vampire.
Right.
But like he thought it was ridiculous because this big old Jerry curl wig that he's wearing throughout this movie. And a lot of people, like when they saw this, were like, what is he doing with this fucking wig on?
What are you doing, bruh?
But I don't think he has any room to talk, really, because the man would go on to make the fat suit a thing. I mean,
right.
He spent like years
I remember
covered
when
in fat
that's
suits.
like started.
Man, this is making me want to watch The Nutty Professor. I haven't seen that movie in fucking decades.
Oh, I haven't either.
I love that fucking movie.
I forgot about that movie.
Hercules.
Yes.
But I love this. I love that this is a movie for listeners. This is a perfect listener request because when are we ever going to get to talk about Eddie Murphy again? Like, because he has not done another horror movie. He only did this one and to a lesser extent, the Haunted Mansion movie, which is another movie I like just because it's Eddie Murphy.
Right. Is that a horror movie though?
Slightly. It's a Disney horror movie.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's spooky for the kids, I liked it when I was younger. It was fun. So it was kind of a struggle to get this thing going. But I think what we got was a fun movie, and it gets a lot more hate than I think it deserves. So with that in mind, let's dive into Vampire in Brooklyn from 1995.
So while we get our opening credits, we have Maximilian, and he's talking about Nosferatu. And how Nosferatu rapes Leigh until he becomes a vampire. No biting.
Oh my God. That's a good point. With vampires, traditionally it's the bite that turns you into one. And I guess whatever disease they have or
disease.
Well, some movies have made it into a disease. Some make it into a curse or a gypsy thing. But most of the time it's like whatever's in them gets into you. And that's how you become a vampire.
That's what
like, so like, is that transferable to sex? Like, do you need to make sure a vampire's wrapping it before you fuck him? Unless
I don't
you
know.
want to become a vampire.
I need a vampire in my life, okay? I need to become a vampire because I don't want to die.
That brings up another point is like we do not have a lot of black vampire movies.
That's true.
We don't get a lot. And Eddie Murphy's a sexy fucking vampire in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
I never thought I would think that Eddie Murphy's sexy, but...
I mean, he's a good-looking man, but for some reason, him as a vampire, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to look at you twice.
Because, again, he has that charisma, and I think that's what he does here, and it works perfectly for this character.
Oh, yeah.
But, okay, so another tragedy beside Eddie Murphy being a diva, that's actually the death of stunt woman Sonja Davis. She had performed what was thought to be like a routine stunt, which was this one of the scenes where Angela Bassett, she was her stunt double. And so there was a scene where she's supposed to fall off the roof. Now, so she was holding onto the ledge there. And she was just supposed to kind of just let go and just gently fall down. Not gently, but, a straight fall down. Well, because they were in this alleyway and two buildings. Think about this as two buildings right next to each other. There's an alleyway in between, and it's about 12 feet across.
Yeah.
Well, she pushed off too hard. And what happened was she hit her head on the opposite wall, and then she fell, and she did not hit the bag. They said that her toes were the only thing that hit the bag. And so so she passed from her injuries like 2 weeks later after that. She was in a coma for 2 weeks before she passed.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of stuff, that brings up a good point about filmmaking. That shit scares the fuck out of me, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like just knowing that like that's a career I want to get into, like that is scary.
That is really scary.
Like, ugh. And that's one of those things where it's almost like you can't even... Like there's no one really to blame,
right?
It's just a stunt went wrong, man. That's
so scary.
Can you imagine what that would do to you?
Oh yeah,
that's freaky. But no, yeah. So she passed. So a lady died filming this movie.
Sad.
Yeah,
sad. So, like I was saying, Maximilian is doing a voiceover and he's talking about Nosferatu, the undead race of the vampire, and how they were driven from Egypt to Transylvania. But those with better taste, including himself, traveled through South Africa over the Atlantic to an island hidden in the Bermuda Triangle. And there they lived for many centuries, feasting on unwary travelers. Hold on a second before I go on.
Okay.
Is this like to say that the people that get lost in the Bermuda Triangle got eaten by vampires?
I think so, because I think the Caribbean islands are around there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so them being in the Caribbean, which by the way, this is a movie I want. I'm gonna need the prequel to Vampire in Brooklyn because this sounds cool, man. Just a bunch of vampires chilling on a beach and just eating people when they come by.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Vampire resort. That's God, that would be cool.
Anyway, so the hunters find them and they start attacking the vampires. Yeah. So Maximilian was the only one that had escaped, and a vampire alone is vampire doomed. Yeah. So his one chance was to find the one known offspring of their tribe that had been born in a foreign land. And this is a woman, and then she's from Brooklyn.
Which
of all places.
Right? I know a lot of people really complained about the simplicity of this story, but I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'll talk about it in a minute, but so if you look at it a certain way, what's really funny about this movie, and it being written by Eddie Murphy and Charlie Murphy, if you look at it a certain way, it's definitely a horror remake of Coming to America, really? Which was another Eddie Murphy movie where he played multiple roles in that as well. But in that movie, he's a prince from another country, and he comes to America to seek the same kind of way, like an American Bride and stuff. He's trying to. Wow. Yeah. So it's kind of the same fucking movie, only a horror remake of it with vampires.
That's cool.
And what I love about back on the Caribbean stuff was the idea for this. It's really unique because during the time this movie was released, vampires were in like this fucking heyday. Think about this. In 92, you had Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Innocent Blood, Bram Stoker's Dracula, all in the same year. 94, you had Interview with the Vampire. Then after this, you had From Dusk Till Dawn in 96, Night Flyer in 97, Blade in 98, and John Carpenter's Vampires in 1998 as well. So this came,
Wow.
yeah, this came buried in there, like smack dab in the middle of this thing. And I think to an audience that was going through a saturation of vampires, this must have been kind of a weak entry when you think about it.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
of all the movies I listed there, and not the ones that come after, obviously, but the ones before, you know, that are happening during the 90s. Which
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, which I do remember this because I grew up in the 90s. I do remember vampires being the monster.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it seems like we always go through a renaissance of these classic horror monsters. So we'll never be rid of a vampire, a werewolf, a Frankenstein monster, or the zombie. Those are the classics, man. We're never going to like, those are never going to be out of style completely. We go through renaissances, which, by the way, you know, that Morbius movie just came out, which is Vampire Light. I don't even consider it a vampire movie. Apparently, I haven't even seen the movie, but I heard it sucked really bad.
Oh, God.
But anyway, so after that movie came out and it bombed, like now studios are like canceling vampire movies.
What?
Because they're thinking people don't want to see It's like, nobody said they didn't like vampires. They said they didn't like Jared Leto.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, just don't put Jared Leto in your vampire movie, and I think you're safe. But no, they go through Renaissance. I'm trying to think of the monster we have these days that's kind of coming up and about. It'd have to be it was the zombie for a little while there.
For a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. I think we're in a dead period now. I don't think we have any classic monster being the main thing.
Well, do you count ghosts or spirits?
Oh, you're right. I totally forgot about the
spirits
ghost.
are
That
like
would be
a
a classic
big-
monster. Yeah, haunted house or something.
Because spirits are really big right now. You know, you have The Conjuring and...
You're totally right. The devil's chic again. You know, we're all trying to get rid of the devil again. And,
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, man. Y'all lay off of Satan.
He's all right, dude.
I know, he's all right. He's cool. He's just down in hell trying to smoke weed and leave everybody alone. Anyway, but I do think like this probably was the weakest of all those, which didn't work for it.
Right.
Definitely didn't work for it. I feel like this movie came out today, it'd have a whole lot different different outcome.
Let's remake Vampire in Brooklyn.
I don't think you could. It's one of those roles where like you had someone like Eddie Murphy play this role. That'd be like remaking Escape from New York and replacing Kurt Russell with somebody.
That's true.
You just don't want it.
Right.
Not saying that this is the same level as Escape from New York, but you know, it's you know, when a actor at this caliber fucking plays a role, it's really hard to do that again. So I wouldn't want it remade.
You're right. You're right.
I know a lot of people who have gotten this confused with an American Werewolf in London. Like, because I remember talking to someone and they were like, yeah, did you ever see that movie, An American Vampire in Brooklyn? I was like, did you not just listen to what you just said? You know, Brooklyn's in America, and so that title alone does not make any sense. It's Vampire in Brooklyn. There's no the or a. It's just Vampire in Brooklyn. Please don't do this.
Don't do this to me. So now we're at Brooklyn Harbor when a ship wrecks into the harbor. Two men, Julius and Silas, they're watching TV and they almost get killed by the ship, but it stops.
And Julius and Cyrus are, you know, Silas. They become your fucking favorite characters, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got Silas played by John Witherspoon, who had been in Friday. You know, he's most famous for those movies. Mm-hmm. The Boondocks, which is a show that would come out later. He played Grandpa in that. Sadly, John Witherspoon, I think, passed away like a few years back. But that guy's fucking funny.
Oh, yeah.
John Witherspoon was one of those actors who was like a flavor. You know, you would put him in just for a specific way he acts.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because who's driving this ship? Stevie Wonder. And of course, you have playing Julius, you have Kadeem Hardison, who would go on to do like a shit ton of other things that I don't think you have ever seen.
Probably
But
not.
he was also in Death by Temptation, which came out in 1990, which Trauma, that's under the Trauma banner.
Oh, nice. So they're looking around trying to find out what happened, and they don't see anyone on the ship. And Julius bows out. He's like, yeah, fuck this. I'm leaving.
Right.
So Silas goes looking further into the ship, and he finds that everybody's dead. Then he sees this huge wolf that jumps out of nowhere, and then we see this wolf turn into a person, but all we see is the shadow.
Mm-hmm. I am a sucker for this kind of effect.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what it is about, like, when it, because it's obviously like a thing because it's 95. We can't like fucking, it's going to look fucking ridiculous if we see Eddie Murphy transform from a wolf.
Right.
So you can't really do that. So the shadow is the next best thing. And I love that.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a classic horror shot too. Like something happening in the shadows and stuff.
Right. It's a little spooky.
It's spooky. And of course, we're in Brooklyn, man. Most of this was shot indeed in New York, and additional stuff was filmed in Los Angeles. But for the most part, you are in Brooklyn.
Nice. Nice. We like that.
Again, another thing I'm a sucker for is a New York-based movie.
I know. You love New York.
I love New York. I don't even fucking live there, and I love New York.
I guess we're going to have to go to New York.
We are. I know everybody's like, oh, you wouldn't make it in New York. There's too many people. And I was like, I don't know. I think I'd be okay.
Because you would just be part of the crowd.
Yeah, I would adapt.
Right.
Like it's like it's like there's so many people. You're not like you just blend in. It doesn't fucking matter.
That's what I mean. You
Like
just
so,
become-
yeah. It's just I don't know.
You're just one in the crowd. Like,
yeah.
That's okay.
Maybe I'll meet a vampire in Brooklyn.
You could not get that lucky, okay?
Right? God damn it.
So then we see Julius get kicked out of his girlfriend's house for snoring during sex. And then this poor dude, he gets chased down by these Italian mobsters because he owes them money.
Which one of these mobsters is played by Mitch Pileggi, who actually played the main villain in Shocker, which was another Wes Craven movie from fucking years before this. But Shocker's fucking weird, man. You want a Wes Craven movie where you're kind of wondering to yourself if Wes Craven had went through a cocaine period and didn't tell anybody? Like, you go watch Shocker. It's a
shocker.
thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
Okay. So they're going to shoot him when Max shows up. He is explaining to these men how to kill Julius cleanly. And they say he's going to end up in a coffin with Julius. And Max says that he's like, I already have a coffin. It's all good.
I'm sorry, but Max already looks like he's going to murder you. I don't know if I'd
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be smarting off to this guy, especially with this kind of hair in that day and age.
Okay, but these Italian mobsters aren't scared of nobody.
That's true. And I'm sorry, I think Mitch Pileggi is Italian, but these guys are the worst Italian mobsters I've ever seen.
I do agree.
They look like they stepped out of The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie.
So they end up shooting Max and they're just going to go about their business.
Yeah.
But Max gets back up and he rips out one of their hearts and kills the other one while Julius just runs away.
I think this movie could use a bit more gore.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, you do get to see the bloody heart and everything like that, but there's like cutaways.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, man, this movie would really do well with just a smattering more of gore, because I think that would really, like I said, this movie is more of a comedy than it is horror.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's horror elements and stuff like that, but I don't think the horror really penetrates as well as it can.
You said penetrate.
I mean, towards the end of the movie, things get a little bit more spooky. There is one scene that feels like it doesn't fit.
Which one?
Like the scene with Nikki later.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It feels like it's from maybe leftover from that Charlie Murphy script, you know?
Maybe.
Like, because it feels too horror.
Yeah.
For what we've been seeing so far. But we'll get to that scene in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like it definitely could use a bit more.
Yeah. I could see that, yeah. So Max goes and he finds Julius and he says that he saw him at the docks earlier. And Julius is begging for his life And Max says that Julius is now his because he needs Julius for his eyes during the day and his service at night.
Yeah.
And he's looking for Max tells him that he's looking for a special woman that is half vampire, but she doesn't know it. But it's really funny because when they're talking or whatever, he's like, I'm looking for this woman, and Julius is like, you're looking for hoes? I know lots of hoes, or something like that.
I love fucking Julius, man.
Yes.
He is fucking awesome. He's like the opposite of Renfield, you know, from the Dracula movie, where like he fucking Renfield in that movie is just like he's just a fucking crazed man. But Julius is just fucking giving this. He's giving him lip through the entire fucking movie.
Oh yes. So now we meet Rita, and she's riding with her partner Justice, and they go to the docks because they are detectives. Rita goes to check things out, and the captain at the scene asks Justice how she's holding up, and we find out that her mom had died in an asylum, and Rita's been having a hard time with that.
So, like, does that mean Rita's mom wasn't the vampire? It was Rita's father who was the vampire?
Yes, we have a whole scene
Oh, okay.
establishing that later.
My Jesus, I'm sorry. I lost my brain there for a second.
We'll have a whole establishing thing with that later.
There's nothing missing from this movie. That's another thing. I think this movie is very, very, very well done. Like,
oh yeah, they tell you everything.
Like I said, there's that scene later that kind of takes me to another movie. But no, like I think under Wes Craven's direction and stuff, this really does shine because
oh yeah,
Wes, whether he liked it or not, was excellent at doing horror. Like,
well, yeah,
he was excellent at it. I mean, that's why he got the title Horror Master. You know, you don't get that just by being bad at horror movies.
Right. He's the master.
It's funny because you look through Wes Craven's filmography and you see points where he fucking revolutionized the horror movies. Everything that came after A Nightmare on Elm Street, it was trying to ape that and stuff like that. And it just like, he changed things with A Nightmare on Elm Street. Then he goes, actually first it started with Last House on the Left. You know, he changed things with that. And that was like right at the start of the fucking slasher boom of the 80s, you know, 79, I believe that came out. And then you have him change it again with A Nightmare on Elm Street. And then he goes on and fucking does it again with Scream.
Right.
You know?
Always changing, always adapting, making things better. It's
so funny. And then you see in between those three super important movies, you know, he has all this other stuff. He has like Shocker, and he has a fucking romantic like movie, a Song of the Heart or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He has so many different movies. And I always tell people, you know, you should, because most people stick to his most famous movies and stuff. And I'm like, you should check out the smaller ones that no one talks about. Like he went on and he would do a werewolf movie. I think that was in 2006 called Cursed with, Christina Ricci.
Oh.
Yeah. And she plays a fucking werewolf in that movie. It's good. Like all his movies were very good. People Under the Stairs.
Oh, I like that movie.
Yeah. Just awesome fucking shit.
Yes. So Justice then goes to interview Silas, and Silas is freaking out talking about this wolf and how this wolf turned into a man. But it's really funny because like one of the police dogs walks by and Justice is like this dog. And he was like, no, that looks like a chihuahua compared to this fucking wolf. He's like so freaked out.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh, I love it. Because he's so freaked out. She's like, and then he turned into a man.
I fucking love it.
People are like, this guy's crazy.
I love it. You know, Justice, which I hate that name. I'm sorry. That's the one thing of this script that I'm like, God damn it. You should have, a cop named Justice.
Right, exactly.
Come on
That's
now.
what I was thinking the whole time.
But he's played by Alan Payne. Apparently, Eddie Murphy requested he be in this movie. Which, again, this is another actor. I don't think you've seen anything. New Jack City, he was in that. CB4. Which amazing movie. I don't think people really talk about CB4 anymore. But anyway, it was kind of a spoof on the rap genre with Chris Rock was what that movie was. So another actor here who I think is legitimately a vampire. Not just Eddie Murphy, because Eddie Murphy doesn't look like he ages either. He just kind of gets chubbier.
Yeah.
But like Angela Bassett, who plays Rita. Dude, I sent you a picture of Angela Bassett at age 63. She looks the exact fucking same.
Oh, yeah. She's gorgeous.
She never fucking ages.
Mm-mm.
And it's lovely to watch her in this movie. Now, like I said earlier, this could be seen as kind of like, if you looked at it in a certain light, it's almost a remake of Eddie Murphy's previous film, Coming to America. But to me, it's kind of like the best modern day spin on Dracula we've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Figuring that Dracula 2000, I think, was the next like modern time set Dracula movie, and that movie sucked ass. Fucking what's his name from 300 played Dracula in that movie.
Oh, wow.
What is that guy? Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
Was fucking thankfully he doesn't speak in that movie, because like I couldn't imagine a Dracula with that voice. It says spot on.
Oh my gosh. That's not very nice.
Well, that was before he played the American Mike movies. No.
American Mike.
Yeah, because in those like Olympus Has Fallen movies and stuff like that, where he plays like a bodyguard for the president or some shit.
Oh,
he's supposed to be a straight American, and his voice is so funny in those movies.
Oh, because he's not.
Yeah, and his name's Mike in those movies, so I just started calling him American Mike, because he's just like, I'm an American. It's like, no, you're not. You're trying so hard.
Oh my
I love Gerard Butler. But seriously, though, you had Bram Stoker's Dracula, which came out in 92. A great Francis Ford Coppola movie. It's a great adaptation of the book. But this movie in particular is more on par with Bela Lugosi's Dracula from the 30s. You look at Maximilian, he's Dracula, of course.
Yeah.
Rita is Mina Harker. Justice is Jonathan Harker. Julius is, of course, Renfield.
Oh, yeah.
And later we have Dr. Zico, who is Van Helsing. And even Rita's roommate, Nikki, could be Lucy if you looked at it away.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
that's what I mean. I think this is pretty much like the best.
A modern day.
Yeah, a modern day remake.
Yeah.
And we have people of color in it.
I love it.
I don't mean, I'm really trying not to pull the race card here for this movie. But do you think because we have a predominantly black cast in this movie, do you think the reason it was so hated was kind of slightly racist?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you go back and you look at Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. That movie, rave reviews. And I agree, it's a great movie. But you have Keanu Reeves trying to pull a fucking British accent in that movie.
Oh, God.
And Winona Ryder also trying to pull a fucking British accent in that movie.
You're asking too much there.
Yes. Keanu Reeves and British does not mix, man. It's not good. Hello. I'm Jonathan Harker. I'm British. It's like, no, you're not, man. No, you're not. You put a surfboard in Jonathan Harker's arm and it wouldn't fucking, you wouldn't be taken out of the movie.
Oh, my God.
But, I do kind of feel like maybe it got shat on a little bit more because it was predominantly people of color in this movie.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So Max and Julian go back to the ship because they need to get Max's coffin. Julian says they have to leave because he's allergic to the police. And he says that they can't get in there to get it. Well, this police dog is barking at Max, and he just flings him into the water.
This dog launches like a rocket. He just launches
because he's not holding the dog. He's not touching the dog. He just mind throws the dog, and nobody's understanding what's going on. But also nobody freaks out.
If my
dog just disappeared,
shot fucking a bomb underneath this dog because this dog goes up in the air like 40 stories and is smoking as he comes down into the water.
But nobody says anything. They're just like, oh, okay, the dog's gone. What?
Man, there's not a lot of movies that can pull off a funny dog death. But that gets me in the gut each time, man.
So Rita's on the ship and she's searching to see what's going on because she's a detective or whatever. And she ends up falling through this one part of it and she finds Max's coffin. Well, she opens it and she sees herself and she gets freaked out when this person like wakes up and grabs her.
I like, she has like these premonitions through this movie, which I think are pretty cool.
Yeah, right. So then Max comes in and he scares her by saying, "It's you." And then he runs off. I guess he wasn't ready to see her yet. I don't fucking know.
No, because it's cool. It's and again, credit to Eddie Murphy being able to act.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you see it in his face when he turns the corner because he's surprised because he's like, oh. like,
oh, because he knows this is her.
He knows,
that makes more sense.
He knows
to me.
who it is.
That makes more sense. I was just like, it's you? What? Okay, I get it now. I get it. So Rita goes to tell Justice about this and try to show him the coffin. But when they go back there, it's gone. But they do find a human ear just hanging out.
Just hanging out. This
Just
is fucking human ear.
Human ear. Fuck. I don't know what to say about this.
What I do also like about this movie is we don't stop the movie dead at any point. I mean, you kind of do a little bit with Dr. Zico later, but you don't stop the movie dead at any moment to really like explain to you what a vampire is.
Right.
Which you don't need it. It's 95. We get vampires. We understand this. Unless you have a new type of vampire, you really don't have to explain to us what's going on. And I kind of appreciate that, even though like, you know, it is a little ambiguous of what his powers truly are. Because like, he just shot a dog into the fucking harbor. So
basically, he can do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're back with Julius, and he is pissed because his ear is gone. So we find out that's his ear.
Yeah.
And Max says the benefits of being his ghoul outweigh the negatives. And then Silas comes out and he wants triple rent for Max to stay with them. And Max ends up paying him in gold coins. And Silas is like, okay, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yes, sir.
He just walks up. So Julius ends up like leaning on Max's coffin.
Which I love this because he's like, man, what are you going to do with this shit? Like, you can't even fuck on this. Like, how are you supposed to fuck on this? You're going to scratch your ass fucking on this thing.
So Max gets pissed and he like grabs Julius and he says two things. One, don't sit on my coffin. And two, they need to start looking for this girl tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was only supposed to be two things. And then Julius is like, is there a third thing? Like being a smartass. And Max is like, I don't like mirrors. And like breaks the mirror that Julius has in his room. I guess he shared. So Silas is Julius's uncle, and they live together in this like house or a townhouse or something.
Yeah, it's not quite clear,
which is fine. But
yeah, because I think this is technically Julius's apartment that they go to.
It is, but it's Silas's apartment too.
Oh, the apartment complex or something. Yeah.
Maybe Silas lives downstairs and Julius, I don't fucking know.
I think Silas runs this place.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Which by the way, later in the movie we get to see like Eddie Murphy has transformed this place into the swankiest fucking pad ever.
Oh yeah.
Is that one of the powers? Like, it seems like being this kind of vampire would really be fucking awesome. Like, you can just turn your fucking shitty apartment into something swanky.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Or was he like literally ordering things out of a catalog and having people come over?
No, he explains it before Rita comes over. He had he says, I did all the spells I could do to make this place better.
Oh, okay.
Because
interesting.
Yeah.
Magic vampire.
I saw this thing that was like, why would I want to be a vampire? It was a meme. It was like, why would I want to be a vampire? Something about money and vampires or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, if you're a vampire and you've been alive since the 1800s, you should be rich.
It's
like
true.
You're doing something
It's
wrong
true.
if you're not a
what
rich.
I always like, it seems like post From Dusk Till Dawn in Blade, you start getting like grungy vampires. It seemed like grungy vampires were all the rage after that. I mean, we had some grungy vampires back in, was it the 90s? I can't remember what year this movie came out, but Near Dark, I think that was the 80s. You had some grungy vampires here and there, but those were more drifter vampires.
Mm-hmm.
But like we started having vampires that were just not classy anymore after the, you know.
What's that one vampire movie with the blonde haired dude? There's like a whole gang of them.
True Blood?
No.
No, okay. Because even that, the vampires weren't as classy.
It was a movie that we did for the podcast.
Lost Boys?
Yeah, that one. They were kind of grungy vampires.
That's true. The more kind of punk vampires. I was
but
still different genre of vampires.
But it's on the same playing field,
it's true.
okay?
But I want like some swanky, sexy vampires again, man.
You don't want sparkly ones?
No. Oh my God. For more of that, if you're a Patreon member, go back and listen to that fucking, if you want to hear me drunkenly rage at a movie, go back and listen to our commentary on fucking Twilight. Oh my God. Remember I was like, you know what? We're going to do all these movies. It's going to be so much fun making fun of these, but I don't know what it was. It must have been
raged.
It must have been the alcohol, but it's just fucking, I just went into a tantrum during that fucking thing. So go listen to that.
I'm pretty sure I fell asleep.
By the end of it, I was like, how is this a fucking movie? How is this a movie? This is not even a movie. This is not even a thing. This is terrible. That movie did not age well. But anyway, yeah, I want to see some swankier vampires. Like somebody get me a rich vampire movie. You know?
I don't know how to help you with that. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm going to make a rich vampire. I'm going to make a vampire movie where nothing happens. It's just this really rich vampire fucking and sucking his way through life, and then it just ends.
Okay.
It's going to be like Forrest Gump of vampires or something.
Oh my God.
Well, except, you know, without the slowness. Just
what? Anyway.
Imagine Forrest Gump as a vampire.
I cannot.
I may not be a smart man, but I know what blood is.
Oh my God.
Blood.
Anywho.
Why am I so good at that Forrest impression?
I don't know.
Anyway.
So Rita is walking in the street to her apartment and she hears something. So she starts to think that she's going crazy because she's hearing things.
Yeah.
Well, she gets scared and she runs into her apartment and closes the door. And she lives in one of those apartment buildings that has an elevator.
Yeah.
And it seems like someone's trying to get in the door. So she goes to pull her gun and her gun is gone. And while she's waiting for the elevator, the window bursts open and then the elevator finally opens and there is her, this other her that she's been seeing. So they're kind of fighting and then we see that she's in bed. She's just having a nightmare.
Yeah, which again, you know, a lot of people will be like, yeah, this is his trademark, the nightmares. I don't think it's so much the nightmares. I think it's more the visions. Like Wes Craven was really good at this weird, like, how do you say it? How do you say it? Like I don't speak English. I was just thinking about Eddie Murphy's fucking accent in this movie. That accent that goes in and out.
Yes.
He's not good at this accent. But no, like it's these vision things where it's like an uncanny valley situation where like it looks real but it's not.
Right.
You know, it's the same stuff he did in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
He's really good at that. And like so I say like his trademark because isn't necessarily nightmares just because he did a Nightmare on Elm Street. It's more this he was able to do these kind of creepy visions and stuff.
Right. So first, I don't understand this.
Okay.
I don't understand this. So she wakes up. She's kind of walking around, and she picks up this article about her mom that says the pioneer of Caribbean supernatural studies dies in Brooklyn Asylum. Why?
That's a weird news story to report on.
But why would she just like pick that up?
Well, she's thinking about her mom, you know, the shit's getting supernatural around her. She's starting to think, you know, she's seeing coffins, severed ears because Julius has the dropsies, as Silas puts it later.
Yes.
You know, so she's starting to think about her mom, who was the pioneer of Caribbean supernatural studies. Do we ever get news stories of the pioneer on supernatural studies of anything? And like, we don't get that stuff.
No.
That's a self-appointed title.
You made that up.
Was she the first in the Caribbean to research the paranormal? Because that's what pioneer means.
I don't know.
Your mom was the first ever to wonder if there's anything supernatural in the Caribbean.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so at the police station, Rita and Justice get assigned to check out the killings in the alleyway with those mobsters.
Yeah.
Julius is watching them. He's pretending to be a janitor or whatever. And we can see his transformation. He's turning into this ghoul because his skin is like melting. And I'll talk about it throughout the movie.
Yeah, throughout the movie, he gets worse and worse.
Oh, yeah. Well, he finds this fat ass fucking cockroach and he just picks it up and fucking eats it.
Yeah, which is a Renfield thing. You know, like Renfield was eating spiders and shit in the fucking original book and stuff like that. And like, do you know that they call that Renfield syndrome? Like when someone's eating bugs?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That name spawns from Dracula.
Ugh. I ain't eating no cockroach.
I'm so glad I don't have
Renfield
syndrome or pica or whatever. You know, I'm so glad I'm not eating weird shit.
Yeah.
Besides weird foods, you know, I am.
But this cockroach, by the way, is not just your normal everyday house cockroach. You know what this is, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like a Madagascar cockroach
like
or
hissing
something.
Cockroach or whatever.
Do you know? I don't know if he eats a real one here. That seems like it'd go against what I'm about to say. But like they have cockroach wranglers for movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have like it makes me wonder what those people are like. The cockroach wrangler. It just seems like it's a really creepy guy. Like it just comes on set.
Sounds about right.
All right. Let's bring in Bruno, the cockroach wrangler. I've brought the best of roaches for your movie. This one's Benny. This one's Julia. You can tell because of the abdomen. This one over here is named Frank. All right, Bruno. We just need the one roach.
When you say wrangler, cockroach wrangler, it makes me think of like a cowboy with like a fucking lasso. Like
this is a dude in the back with a little lasso. Oh, the roach is getting away from us, Bruno. Oh, hang on. I've got my rope. Yeehaw.
Weehaw.
Oh God. Just put the cockroach down for the shot, Bruno. That's all we need.
Right.
But which roach? Benny? Julia? Well, Frank? I don't care. They're all Benny looks good. Benny good. God damn it. Where did we get this guy? I thought you got him. What?
Oh my goodness. Okay, that went on a little too long. Anyway. I let that go on a little too long.
But he's like, I gotta wrangle you, fucker.
Anyway. So then we get another voiceover from Max, and he says that things are going well. Rita is destined to be his mate, and his ghoul is performing well and might become a vampire one day. So then we see Julius, he's cleaning off this limo that he pulls up in.
Yeah.
And then his fucking hand falls off.
Yeah, because he's sitting there to wipe it and it's just
What the fuck? So Silas is right there because he's outside and he says something about it being the dropsies. What is that?
I don't even know. Is that a fucking disease? I thought it was just something he makes up. Because John Witherspoon says you got the dropsies.
Okay, hold on. Let me look it up.
The dropsy? Is that a fucking disease? I don't want dropsy.
It says old-fashioned or less technical term for edema.
Oh, shit.
But what's edema?
Fuck.
It says a condition characterized by an excess of watery fluid collecting in the cavities or tissues of the body.
Well, that's not what this is, John Witherspoon. Now, at some point in this movie, did you check out the zealot that's in the police station?
The what?
The crazy kind of like religious lady that's in the police station?
I did not even mention her at all.
Okay, don't worry. I just wanted to tell you, that's Margot Robbie, right?
Sure.
Or Wendy Robbie. Oh my God, Margot Robbie is not in this movie.
Oh my God.
Wendy Robbie. She plays Ed's wife in fucking.
Oh, I have seen
Twin
her
Peaks,
before.
and she's in People Under the Stairs.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to point it out.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't mention her because she's really just a side character. I mean, I might later.
It seems like
now that I think about it.
It's weird because you definitely know that like Wes Craven was probably like, yeah, just have Wendy Robbie come on set for a little bit. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I love all the stories about Wes Craven because it just like proves how big of a fucking sweetheart he probably was. Okay, so there was a story about how on New Nightmare that he did, the Freddy movie I told you about is the 7th Freddy Krueger movie. Well, he wanted to get Johnny Depp to come back and reprise his role.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from the first movie, like to just play Johnny Depp in that movie because the actors are playing themselves in that movie.
Oh, okay.
So he was wanting to get Johnny Depp, but he was too timid. He was like too afraid to ask him because Johnny Depp was big at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And later they were asking Johnny Depp about it and he was like, of course I would have. I mean, the man helped launch my career.
Oh, wow.
So he was too afraid to ask Johnny.
Speaking of Johnny Depp, I have to tell you this really fast, okay?
Oh, God.
Johnny Depp trial's going on, okay, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that people think that Johnny Depp is not American?
For real?
For real.
I forget where he's born, but he's definitely all American.
Like in New York or some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, he does have that accent because of all the like places he's been to. Because I think he's lived in London for a long time and stuff like that. But like he has a slight British accent that the newspapers but that people like to say he has a slight British accent, but that's only because he talks proper.
Right.
Yeah, it's not British.
Yeah,
it's just,
people seriously did not know he was American until this trial.
Yeah, people literally, like a lot of people, because of the way he talks very proper. A lot of people think he's from another country because he doesn't talk like a stupid American.
He's not stupid. That's the
he's
thing,
a very
he's
smart
not.
guy. But anyway, I don't know why we got into Johnny Depp is not in this movie.
Anyway, sorry about that. Silas says that Julius has the dropsies or whatever. He doesn't. That's stupid. Anyway, so he's picking Max up in a limo. And while they're driving, Max says that he knows more about Rita than she knows about herself. And she has to give herself to him voluntarily. And she only needs to dance with him once and she will be his.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cocky of you, Mr. Maximilian.
I love his attitude, though. Like, you say what you will about Eddie Murphy's on-set behavior or whatever, but he plays a fucking, like, cocky, kind of, like, uptight, not uptight, but, like, cocky, sure of himself vampire, man.
And I think vampires are supposed to be like that.
Yes,
though.
He plays a perfect vampire in this movie. That's what I don't understand by a lot. I mean, again, that accent is a little bad. Like, it's not... There's parts where it comes and goes because I can't even like recreate what he's doing. It's
it's weird.
It's almost Transylvanian, but it's not at the same time because I think he's supposed to be kind of Caribbean too.
Right.
But it doesn't quite work that way.
It's not making any sense to me. So Rita and Justice go to the address they were given, and it's a nightclub called Dr. Zico's. When they go in, the doctor, Mr. Zico or whatever, tells them that he knows why they're there. He says that the ship came from the Bermuda Triangle and it was filled with sickness and nightmares. He says there is evil there. Nosferatu, the undead vampire. This makes Rita feel some type of way. And she kind of walks off. Justice doesn't believe any of this, and he walks off. And then the doctor tells Rita to keep her faith because she's going to need it.
And Angela Bassett is acting her ass off in this fucking movie, by the way. We haven't really talked about her. She's a pleasure to fucking watch in this. Her, Eddie Murphy, of course, and even Zach, I'm going to mispronounce this name. I love this actor, though. Zakes Mokae, who plays Dr. Zico here. He's doing a fantastic job, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think they overshadow everybody. Like...
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
like
say
it feels like it starts to feel like once you get the entire group of characters together, like especially like Angela Bassett and fucking Mokae here, and them playing off each other. The guy who plays fucking Justice, Alan Payne, even though he's a good actor too, he looks like dog shit next to these two.
Oh yeah.
Zakes Mokae, he was in Surfing in the Rainbow, another Wes Craven movie, which excellent fucking movie. If Wes Craven also did a lot of these, like, I don't want to call them ethnic movies, but a lot of stuff that involved like, well, people under the stairs and stuff was more like a kind of ethnic is a terrible word.
Inclusive?
Yeah, inclusive, like cultural kind of movies and stuff like that. Like Surfing in the Rainbow is about this voodoo dust and stuff. Yeah, and I think he goes to South America or something like that, and it's about like zombies, but not the zombies you're thinking of. Like it's about like medicine people that can turn people into zombies.
Oh,
it's a very fucking good movie. It has Bill Pullman in the lead role. But
I kind of understand diverse movies like with people of color and stuff, and I like that because he's showing like not only white people can do this shit.
Yeah, Wes Craven did that with a few of his horror movies.
Yeah, I think that's what you were saying.
It's really cool. Like in Surfing the Rainbow, it's definitely like this white guy who is out of his element. You know, he goes to a place that he doesn't fully understand the issues and stuff.
Right. So at Dr. Zico's, Rita runs into Max and she asks what he wants because he's just kind of like standing in front of her. And he says that there's a killer on the loose and that he's right behind her. It's actually just a snake that escaped from its cage. Why they have a snake in this fucking like club thing?
Man, this club is another reason why I want to go to New York. Do you think they have voodoo clubs? Because that's what this is.
They might, yeah.
This looks like a club that they're about to like raise the dead.
Right.
Like, you know, DJ FM is playing. Oh wait, he's dead. DJ. Like the DJ is playing one night. You know, we got this and that, and then on Tuesdays we're raising the dead.
Sounds good to me. So the snake almost bites her, and it's like a fucking cobra or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Max just grabs it and stops it from biting her. Anyway.
It grabs the snake puppet.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, honestly, I made that sound like it was a fucking Muppet, but it looks pretty good. It's fine.
Right. So then he introduces himself, and she says that she's seen him somewhere before, she thinks. And he says that's kind of funny because he had a dream about her and that she was trapped by the daylight and he set her free with a dance. And then he wants to show her, like, dance with her.
Yeah.
She says that she can't dance because she's on duty. And this is when Julius shows up and he's not being a very good wingman because he's like, you're not going to dance with my guy? That's okay. He's got plenty of people he can dance with, blah, blah, blah. And she calls him Mr. Popularity or something like that because she's pissed now.
No one ever like notices that Julius is fucking falling apart besides Silas.
His mouth is fucking bleeding and nobody says anything.
Like, it's no one going to say, hey, man, you okay?
Maybe it's because it's New York.
How many rotted corpses are fucking walking around in New York? Is that a thing I need to prepare myself for?
I don't know. So this pisses her off, and she said, "I won't ever dance with you." Oh, okay.
All right, damn.
So this pisses Max off at Julius, and he ends up. This is the weirdest part of this whole movie. Okay, he like pulls Julius's tongue out.
Yeah.
And he just keeps pulling it, and it goes out for like a long time. This is like a fucking Looney Tunes.
This is a Looney Tunes gag, man. So Wes Craven had said, he said that like he thinks it's a fun movie and stuff. He really wanted more comedy from Eddie Murphy. He said he was trying to get him to be more comedic,
right?
But Eddie Murphy wasn't doing it. I really think that, like I said, this does, when you hear about the stories of how Eddie Murphy was acting on set, not that he was mean to anybody or anything, but you do kind of like, it does kind of make it sound like it's just a paycheck. But I also think because this is a story he helped with his brother, they wrote it as a straight horror movie. I think maybe he's kind of burnt about that. You know, like,
right.
You know, he wanted it to be straight horror. He wanted, and like I said, Eddie Murphy was excited to play a villain, like a villainous role where he's not jumping around telling jokes and stuff like that. So I wonder if that's another reason why he was acting the way he did.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know nothing about no acting.
I love that, like, Kadeem, Hardison and John Witherspoon, like, they've both said this is like their favorite movie they've worked on. It's so funny because you hear, like, you know, I don't even think Angela Bassett really talks about this fucking movie. And like fucking Eddie Murphy thought it was awful and he blames the wig.
Oh, wow.
And Wes Craven has said it's a fun flick, but Kadeem and fucking John Witherspoon are both like, this is so good. This is a good movie.
They were having a
It was
good
an amazing
time.
movie to work on. Eddie Murphy was actually, he was kind of at first excited to work with Wes Craven. Like I said, there was no bad blood between anybody because Eddie Murphy was a fan of Last House on the Left and A Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that.
So Justice and Rita go back to her apartment and they're arguing about what the doctor had said because Justice doesn't believe any of it.
Yeah, because I mean, the doctor was just straight up, "Hey, vampire."
Yeah, right.
Hey, you got a vampire problem.
So they meet her roommate, Nikki, and she tells Justice about how Rita paints things she sees in her nightmares. They're looking at a painting and it's of a woman and she's dead, but she's like suspended somewhere. Like she's hung, but not like hung, like, I don't know how to explain it. She's on display.
Yeah.
Dead. Okay. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, Nikki's hitting on him the whole time. And then we see that Max is watching them from outside. Justice goes to leave. Nikki follows him because he's left his keys inside. He takes off. He doesn't want to have anything to do with her. He's like, go take a cold shower and leave me the fuck alone. I didn't even put in the part where Rita went to her room because she's mad at Justice. She doesn't want to deal with him anymore or Nikki. So she's in her room. He leaves his key. Nikki follows him. Anyway, so now she's in the alleyway. Well, Max meets up with Nikki in the alley and she invites him in because she's now been rejected by Justice.
Yeah.
So they go inside and they fuck like crazy. And Rita is pissed because she thinks that this is Justice.
Yeah, because she just hears like somebody fucking Nikki and stuff like that. And, you know, like, this is the scene that felt kind of, like I said, we've already seen him rip people apart, but it's always been kind of comedic. And this is the scene where it's like, it feels like I said, like, was this left over from that horror movie?
Oh, maybe,
like that straight horror movie? Because this is like scary.
Oh, it kind of is because, so Rita's pissed. And she ends up going outside to finish her painting because she's mad. Well, Max ends up killing Nikki. And the next day, Rita finds a note that says that Nikki found a man that can take care of her or whatever. And that she just needed to move. So she just moved in the middle of the night is what Rita thinks. Yeah. And Rita thinks that she moved in with Justice.
Yeah, but you saw like, you see clips throughout that, like, of him killing her. And stuff like that, kind of like stuff and her screaming and stuff. And I gotta ask you, like, could you tell the difference between murder noises and sex noises?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, okay, I feel like I know a train comes at one moment and kind of, you know, covers up the noises, but at the same time, like, and plus we see blood coming out of the door lock on Nikki's room. You see like a stream of blood coming out, which that doesn't make sense. How did the blood make it from did the room fill with blood? What are we doing here? but also, how did Rita miss that? Like she's walking there. Oh, you know, blood comes out of that doorknob all the fucking time.
Right. Well, no, I think he cleaned it up.
Did he?
I think so.
So he got like the bleach and shit, the wipes, and
he doesn't have to do that. He's a vampire.
Oh, he's magical. That's right.
All he had to do was like, and it's all gone.
That sounded like a transformer.
He is kind of a transformer.
Oh yeah,
he transforms things.
Vampires, the original Transformers. Vampires roll out.
Okay, anyway.
what just happened?
I don't know. So Max says to Julius that he has to take what she has and give her what she needs. So he's taking justice away from her.
Yeah, which kind of it explains why he kills Nikki, because like if he didn't say like this line here, it kind of doesn't make sense of why he murdered Nikki.
Right.
Like, it's like why did he have to murder her? He set it up so it looked like they were having an affair, but why did he have her leave town? Like
because he killed her.
But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't know. It seems like a weird move.
It is a little weird.
Seems like a weird move. I only think that seems there for a body count.
That probably because you would think that actually he would have killed Justice.
Yeah, you would think he would go after Justice first and not keep the guy who would probably fight to save Rita alive. Right. I don't know, because Dr. Zico, he could take Dr. Zico.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Julius and Max are in the car and they're following Rita, and she goes into a church. So Max is pissed because he can't follow her in there because he's a fucking vampire. Mm-hmm. But Max goes in, or not goes into the church. She goes by the church to kill the preacher before Rita goes to talk to the preacher, because we find out that Max can kill people and transform into them.
And this is, you know, like I said, in Coming to America, he played different roles and stuff, but not as extended as it is in this movie. Like in Coming to America, I think he plays the barbershop guys, which is a hilarious fucking scene in that movie. But like in this, he plays the preacher. Then later he plays Guido, the Italian mobster guy. Right. But I love the preacher in this. This is my favorite scene of this entire movie.
Oh, it's pretty hilarious. Just let me say it.
Just go through.
Yeah. So Max is now this preacher guy.
Yeah.
And Rita goes to talk to the preacher, and she says that she's afraid that she's going crazy. And before Max can really even talk to her or the preacher, they're walking into the church because someone like ushers them in. Yeah, you gotta
deliver your sermon. Yeah, they're trying to get him in there.
You gotta do this now. And as soon as he walks into this church, his hair starts to smoke. And he's like, it's a beautiful night. We're going to have a sermon on the lawn.
Because he walks in, he's looking around, he sees Jesus across, and then he starts smoking. He's like, God damn.
And everyone turns around to look at him. I don't know why I did not put that in there.
I don't know, man. That's just fucking hilarious. And of course, he'd go on to do this to an even higher extent in The Nutty Professor, where there's a whole fucking scene where it's nothing but Eddie Murphy. Like just sitting around a table. Like that movie, and like the way he can play different characters, because like you usually hear like it compared to like what Mike Myers did in Austin Powers and stuff like that. And Mike Myers is just kind of Mike Myers in those movies, even though everybody's like, oh, he can play dual roles. And I was like, I don't know, he's still Mike Myers in those. It's not any different from Austin Powers. But like in Eddie Murphy's way, he does this. He plays fucking He can switch characters on a fucking dime. Like, it's insane.
Oh yeah, it's great. I like it.
But yeah, they go out on the lawn to do the sermon.
Right. So Max starts preaching about necessary evil and telling people's dirty secrets. He was like, so-and-so was out with the 50-cent hooker last night, and he really liked it.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with getting ass.
Oh, we're getting into that in a second. So then Justice shows up, and Rita is pissed at him because she hasn't seen him since the Nikki thing. So when they walk off, Max starts saying ass is good and evil is good and you should get yourself a piece of evil ass.
Everybody's like, what? And he's like, no, evil's good. For good to exist, there must be evil, so therefore evil is good. Evil is good. Everybody say it. Everybody say it.
Right. And then he's like, and ass is good because you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for ass. And everybody's like really vibing with this shit. They're like, yeah, you're right. What the hell?
Oh, shit.
So Rita and Justice argue because she says Nikki takes everything of hers. So now we're seeing that maybe Rita likes Justice and she's jealous.
Yeah.
So they're willing to push all of this shit aside for work. They're like, okay, we're still partners and we need to do this.
It's really weird that she's not dating him already.
Yeah, right.
Like, he drives a badass car. He's a very good-looking man. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, well, why are you guys not?
But the thing is, in the beginning of the movie, they've only been partners for like 3 months.
I know, but you got Angela Bassett.
But her mom died.
And Andrew Payne.
I know, but her mom died, and she's been going through that. So I think he's been really, like, slow going
you
with her.
You would think that would force them together. Like, it just feels
he's
like
been really sweet to her and
I
really
guess. I don't know,
like taking care of her. You know?
Yeah.
You know, nice guy shit. Nice guy shit.
Yeah, I
nice guys don't always finish last. Okay.
Oh, God.
Take that from this. Sorry.
Don't go down that road. I don't want to go down that road. You'll end up in incel territory.
Oh, my God. Anyway. Anyway. So Justice and Rita are supposed to go down to where the Italian mobsters hang out.
Yeah. Which I think the Italian mob is only in this fucking movie so Eddie Murphy can play an Italian man.
Maybe. Maybe so.
Because really, if you kind of... Why? Why does he play this Italian guy?
Just so they could figure out what kind of pasta she likes so they can get Rita and Max on a date. That's what this whole fucking scene is about.
Wow. You're right. You're right. This is such a convoluted plan just to do that. Yes. And plus, isn't he magical? Couldn't he hypnotize her or some bullshit?
But she's also part vampire, so maybe not.
Oh, maybe it doesn't work on her.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. So they're in this, like...
I'm sorry.
So they're in this, like, Italian mobster restaurant thing. Because they had found out about the man who died in the alley, whatever.
Yeah.
So they go to ask questions, and they're telling them about Julius. The guys are, and they say that could not be the person that killed their people because, it's Julius.
Yeah, he's
like,
even worse than Guido.
Yes. So outside of this little restaurant or whatever.
By the way, that's the character's name. I'm not saying a slur. That's literally this character's name is Guido.
Oh, I thought they were using it as a slur. No.
His actual name is Guido.
And that's this punk guy, right?
Yeah. This dude with long hair.
Yeah. So Guido's outside of this restaurant thing because he had gotten kicked out or whatever. And he tries to rob Max, but he gets attacked by Max because Max is like, oh, wait, I have a plan.
Yeah.
He attacks him and then transforms into him. And then he goes inside to rob the place. And he's not really robbing the place. He goes in and he sees Rita. And he's like, oh, you're coming with me. And they're talking about favorite pasta or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, what kind of wine you like?
Yeah.
Red or white?
He's like, what kind of food you like? Or what kind of pasta you like? And then he's like, what kind of wine you like? So there's this cat that's looking at him the whole time. And he is not liking this.
The second animal death of the movie, by the way.
Because this cat goes to move and fucking Max just blows this fucking cat away.
Again, I'm not usually one for animal death, but like you shoot a fucking jumping cat and you fling a dog into the harbor, and for some reason I'm laughing.
Right? This is a totally different turn than Dr. Dolittle. This is a different side of Eddie Murphy.
I saw Dr. Dolittle ages ago. I can't even remember all of that movie, even though, like I said, I'm an Eddie Murphy fan. I can't remember that. What is he doing? He's trying to help a circus bear in that movie, isn't he? Like,
I don't remember now.
I don't remember that movie.
I remember his daughter got like a guinea pig or some shit, and he starts talking.
Oh yeah, Chris Rock is the guinea pig.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And then they go on like a camping trip or something. And all the animals are like, "Fucking help me, bruh!" Like they can talk, and they're like,
"You gotta help me, Doolittle."
Yes, that's kind of what they were doing.
Yeah, you're right.
So he was taking care of him. Yeah.
Good Lord, Eddie. Wes Craven's done some weird stuff. Eddie Murphy has done some weird shit because he wouldn't write another movie until Norbit, which we talked about. Norbit, he wrote that with Charlie Murphy as well. I don't think they should be writing movies.
No.
Actually, the saddest part is Charlie Murphy passed. He passed away. Not long ago either. I think 2017 is when he passed away. But Norbit, whoo,
that's a movie.
That's bad.
You know what's worse than that? And I don't know that Eddie Murphy's in it, but in the same day that we watched Norbit, we also watched Little Man.
Oh, that's the Wayans brothers movie.
Yeah.
That's the movie I refuse to believe is a real movie. Because I saw that in theaters. Because, I was sold on the Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that. I was a Wayans brothers super fan. But Little Man was the cap. Or I was like, wow, no, they can't.
It's little
not
weird.
all their stuff is gold.
No.
It's one of those movies that shouldn't exist.
Exactly.
Like it looks like a movie that should be in another movie, making fun of movies.
Do you know what my biggest problem with that movie was?
Okay.
And it's not the CGI Burgon man's face on a child's body.
Sorry, we're going off track.
I'm sorry. But I watched a movie, so that was weird. I got to talk about it.
She watched a movie I didn't force her to watch.
Exactly. No, the weirdest part of that movie to me is there's a scene where the little man, he's playing a baby or whatever.
Yeah.
And he has sex with the mom.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
And it was like really creepy to me.
Yeah, I forgot that went into a weird territory there where you're watching a baby Wayans fuck a full-grown lady.
We don't see it.
No, you don't see
it,
anything, but you might as well.
It's a little too much for me. That was crossing kind of a line there for me.
I don't know what was going on with that movie.
Like, we know he's not a baby, but he's playing a baby.
Yeah.
And we know that they're not mom and son. Even in the movie, they're not mom and son. Okay. But it's still a little crossing the line.
You're creeping me out. I want to get back to Vampire.
Okay, anyway.
I want to get back to that. I'm scared now. I hate that movie.
Anyway.
Anywho.
So Rita is pissed that this guy has killed this cat. So she ends up detaining him and arresting him.
Yeah.
Because she likes cats.
Right. For Rita, which I'm glad they didn't choose this way because I do not care for this actor. Not the shit that happened recently aside, but they were going to have Jada Pinkett Smith play this role as Rita.
Oh.
I don't know about that. I don't see Jada Pinkett Smith as a cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think this is the movie for her. Like, right. I'm glad they went with Angela Bassett.
Have I ever seen a Jada Pinkett Smith?
I don't know. I've seen a bunch of them. She was in New Jack City and stuff like that.
Is she
In
good
fact,
actress?
she's good. I don't think she's bad. I just meant like that's why I was trying to say I'm not, things aside, I'm not about to start hating on Jada Pinkett Smith. I really don't give a shit about the fucking Will Smith slap. I'll just say it now. You guys are probably like, I wonder what he thinks about it. No, I don't think anything of it. I think I don't give a shit what rich people do to each other.
No.
I just don't fucking care. But yeah, she's a good actress. She's decent. I just this movie would have required a lot from her, I think.
Right. Okay. I could see that. I don't know. I've never seen her movie, but
because
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and one of the strengths of this movie is how Angela Bassett plays off of Eddie Murphy.
Right.
And I've seen Jada. I can't think of the movie off the top of my head, but Jada Pinkett Smith has been in a movie with Eddie Murphy. But like it's Nutty Professor. I'm sorry. Yeah, she was in the Nutty Professor with him, and she does a great job with him. But in this movie specifically, there's a certain type of person that needs to be playing off of what Eddie Murphy's putting out.
Right. Vampire vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back at the station, Justice is pissed at Rita that she had arrested this guy. Because manhood, I don't fucking know.
He's manly man Mitch Hardapple through most of this movie.
Yeah, I think he's mad that she did it and he didn't get
Justice. Andrew Payne is a good actor. I really got to give him props for being a really good actor. Like, I'm trying to, like I said, there's nothing. Alan Payne, sorry, not Andrew Payne. Why do I keep calling him Andrew? Jesus Christ, Alan Payne. He's a really good actor, but like in this movie, I don't know what's going on because they're not playing to his strengths. Because, like I said, he's like this fucking Mitch Hardapple through this movie. He's barely a character.
Yeah. He's kind of goofy.
Yeah, he's
but not in a good way. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. He's fine. I could take him or leave him.
It's fine. Yeah, you almost could just do away with this character.
Oh yeah,
and have more Angela Bassett. Mm-hmm. Like that would have been good.
Oh
but,
yeah, for
but
sure.
I see what they were trying to hit. They're trying to hit each one of the characters from Dracula.
Right.
Have each one of those types of characters. But like you could have definitely done away with Justice.
So they're arguing a little bit, and he tells her that he cares about her more than he should. So they're staring at each other a little too long. And Max, he's still like dressed up as this other guy. He says that he knows. He's like, oh, I do know you. I know you from Nikki. Because Nikki said that he beast fucked her. And he heard about it.
Yeah.
Ooh. So Rita slaps Justice, and she, in the middle of the fucking police station, slaps Justice. So she gets called into the office by her superior, whatever it is, whatever. And she ends up getting suspended from work for 2 days for slapping him.
Yeah, stop bringing that drama to the office.
Exactly.
Said no cop ever.
Well, let's remember that cops fuck people so people could get out of tickets.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. And before you start fucking thin blue lining me or whatever the fuck, we actually know of a cop who literally got fired for that.
Yes.
Literally just
sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
He was on the fucking SWAT team.
Well, from what a mutual friend of ours told me, he did it so much they couldn't turn their heads anymore.
Oh,
like
she told you?
Yeah, she told me he did that. She told me he had a problem and he had to go to therapy for her. But I'm like, yeah, but you could just not fuck people out of their tickets. I'm just saying.
Right.
Like you could just not do that.
Right. He felt like too much of a badass is the problem. Anyway, we're not.
Yeah, we're getting a little. We keep trying to social justice this movie, and it's not working. It's just it's not the movie for that. We just saw Eddie Murphy as an Italian mobster.
So, by the way, I didn't put this in here, and I don't know why, but to get out of being this like mobster guy or whatever, he can talk to people in his mind or whatever, get them to do things. Well, there's this crazy like Christian lady in there.
Yeah, and played by Robbie.
Yeah. And he tells her to stab the police officer or try to stab the police officer so he can make it look like that Italian mobster guy like got away, but he just transforms back into Max.
Yeah, well, couldn't he just like fucking like hypnotize? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Couldn't he like missed his way out of this or something?
Like once they put him in a cell, just fucking like.
Yeah, it seems like he's going through all these Rune Goldberg plans and it's not working out for him. I don't.
It worked out just fine. I
guess he could have just not killed Nikki and figured out all that shit about her.
Yeah, that's true. So Rita's walking home and she almost gets run over by a taxi, but Max saves her. He just jumps out of nowhere and saves her. And she apologizes for the bar thing the other night. And Max asks her out for dinner. And he says, she says she will or whatever, but she's the law. And she said, I'll shoot you if you try anything. Okay. I don't believe that, but okay. So they agreed that he will send a car for her in about an hour. So she goes inside and Max leaves. And when she comes back out, when she's waiting for him, Justice shows up. And he gets super jealous when he sees how hot she is and finds out that she's going out. And she just gets in the limo.
Yeah, which again, classy vampire moves. Like that's what I like. I like the sexy vampires, you know?
Dude, she's so hot though. When she comes out in that black and red dress, I was like, oof.
Man.
Oof.
Angela Bassett, y'all.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Gee, again, man, I think she played Tupac's mom or Biggie's mom in one of those biopics. No, she played both their moms. And like you watch those movies and it's like Angela Bassett doesn't age. So like you're watching it and you're like, wow, she does not look like Tupac. She does not look like she's old enough to be Tupac's mom, but she's like proper age in that movie.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So Rita and Max go to Julius's apartment because that's where Max is staying, and he's got it all swankified. Like,
yeah.
It looks like a top tier like fucking apartment.
You know, you go back and you watch a lot of movies from the 90s and stuff, and you see these people like fancy apartments and stuff like that, and they're never like appealing, right? Like this one is cool as fuck.
Oh yeah,
like
I want to hang out here.
Yeah, and maybe it's because it's definitely a vampire's apartment.
Probably,
this is definitely where a vampire lives. I feel like you go into this place and be like, oh, you're a vampire.
Right.
I've made a mistake.
There's mood lighting and everything.
Yeah, there's mood. There's a fireplace.
Yeah.
There's a grand piano.
Oh yeah. Why is there always a piano?
There is. Yeah.
Why do vampires always have pianos?
It happened more in the 90s than it does now when you see a movie where somebody has a nice fancy apartment. Like everybody always had a piano in the 90s and you never really saw them play it.
No.
Like I remember and this sounds funny, but I remember going to my richer friends' houses back in the 90s. I wasn't
talking about rich people and pianos. I was talking about vampires and pianos.
Well, that too. Well, vampires are always rich. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
yeah. They're always rich. So rich people and pianos. But I remember going to my richer friends' houses and they would have pianos. And I'd be like, do you play? No.
No.
Does anybody? Not really. Why is this here? What is this here for?
Oh, we should ask our daughter if her boyfriend has a piano.
Good idea.
Because he lives in a fucking mansion.
Yeah, he lives in this big fucking house.
Huge fucking house.
I went there to pick her up one night. I was like, oh my God, a bunch of vampires live in this neighborhood. I don't belong.
It's true. With my raggedy ass fucking car with my my mirror.
I look like Julius running up into this fucking...
Yes. Anyway, so they're talking and he finally gets her to dance with him. She says that she hasn't ever felt like this before, and Max asked her if she wants to feel like this forever. And he says that he can give it to her. He can give her forever. But she has to say it. And she says yes. So he bites her neck.
This is this is such a classic vampire move, man.
I know, but she doesn't know what's going on.
You seduce the women. And then, like I said, though, is he hypnotizing her here? Because she does kind of lose it.
Maybe.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, could he just hypnotize her through this whole fucking thing?
I guess.
He could have. Maybe it wasn't as classy as he wanted it to be. You know. Oh, wait. No. He explains that. She has to give himself to him. He can't just take her.
Okay, I get that. She says yes, but she doesn't know what she's saying yes to.
Well, you know, a really classic. Although, see, my mind has been corrupted by all these movies. I'm immediately thinking this person's a vampire. But I guess if you weren't thinking he's a vampire, and this really classic guy is showing you all this great life you could have and stuff like that, and he didn't, you want to do this forever, you might say yes.
But like I said, she still doesn't know what she's getting herself into.
No.
So this is very coerced consent here. Anyway, that's another question for
you
another.
mean the evil
topic.
vampire didn't ask consent? Actually, no. I think that's a rule. I think vampires have to have consent for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like that's why they always ask you. Got to give them permission to come into your house.
Yeah. But anyway,
what a fucking Achilles heel to have. Like, you have to be invited in. That sucks. That sucks for the vampire. That's always the power. I was always like, God, that sucks so bad.
Oh my gosh. And another vampire trope, the garlic when they're in the Italian restaurant.
Get this garlic out of here. Next person to bring me garlic.
He's like, get it out of here. What the fuck? That wasn't a red flag. Like, none of that. By the way, he says he's gonna make her this pasta that she likes or whatever. In this scene, there's no pasta. Where's the pasta? I want to know what fusilli is.
I don't know either, but like again, it goes back to that scene where he turns into Guido. There's no reason for it other than we're just gonna let Eddie Murphy riff here.
Anyway, so Justice is looking into Julius after the mobsters had told him about them. So he goes to his girlfriend's house and she's like, oh, you want to know something about him? She just invites him in. I want to see more of that conversation because we don't see any of it.
No.
I want to see what she tells him.
Yeah, because you don't get a lot of that. It does seem like a scene is missing there or something. Yeah.
I want to know what she says because she's ready to give up everything. She's like, yeah, fuck that.
I guess you immediately assume she just spilled the beans on who Julius is.
Oh,
so,
yeah. So the next day, he goes to Julius's house and he runs into Silas. And Silas is not telling who Julius is.
Yeah.
But he says, I know that I've seen your partner, Rita, around. And she says she got banged really hard last night. Oh, and Justice is mad.
Jesus.
But then he gets a call and from the police station or whatever, and he has to go to this crime scene where he finds Nikki and she's tied up to something and she's dead. So then he goes looking for Rita. And this scene is very weird to me. I understand that it goes back to the painting and all of that, but we didn't need it. Did we? Did we need to see Nikki dead?
Not really. I get what you mean, though.
I don't understand where it all fit. We get it. She painted it. She saw it happening.
Honestly, this is this is another scene, now that I think about it, that feels like it's from another movie.
Yeah.
Like, this scene is, like, horrific because she's tied up to this thing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, whoa.
And Rita had painted that this was going to happen, but I don't know. It's very weird to me.
I realize this is a Wes Craven movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely probably Wes Craven's little horror touches bleeding out because no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't fucking escape that.
Right.
But like, it does feel like this is a darker scene from a more darker movie that like, because we've been seeing like cats get shot. Eddie Murphy's riffing as an Italian dude. We're seeing fucking Julius dropping hands off. John Witherspoon is in this movie, and he's just being John Witherspoon, and so it just feels kind of out of place. Even though I love it, I love how dark this movie gets at moments. Like this scene here looks like it's a scene from Seven. Like,
sure.
Brittany hasn't seen Seven, so she doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, so Justice goes to Rita's apartment and he finds her sleeping And he tells her about Nikki being dead, just the way that she had painted it. And he says everything she believed is real about the vampires and all of that.
Which it does not take Justice long to turn over.
No.
Because he's our skeptical guy for a
I think
while.
he's just mad that she got fucked. So he's like,
all right,
you're
fine,
right.
Vampires are real. You're right. Vampires.
You're right.
Vampires.
You're right. I believe everything you said. Stop getting fucked, okay?
That's what happens. You just like get real jealous and you just start believing everything.
Yep. It's true.
Brittany goes out with a guy and I'm like, I believe in Jesus now. Jesus is real and he said this is a sin.
Oh my God. Woo!
Praise Jeebus. I mean Jesus. I got this cross today. See, I'm Christian now. We can't do this.
You put a Bible on my side of the bed.
Swear to the Lord.
Anyway. He said
again though, I'm
Whoa.
sorry I interrupted you, but again, justice is not fucking needed.
No.
Like Angela Bassett could have found Nikki.
Right.
But like Justice, like I said, he barely seems like a character, and he switches to believing in vampires in a second.
Right.
And has he seen anything that convinced him that vampires are real, though?
No.
He just found a dead lady. That doesn't mean vampires are real.
This is so weird. Anyway, he says that they will figure things out together and that they will, that they all make mistakes. So she starts to kiss his neck and they make out very passionately. And then she sees her reflection disappear in the mirror. Like she first sees it and then it goes away.
Yeah.
And this freaks her the fuck out.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Because she's also like kind of growing to little things here, you know.
Yeah.
You're getting the usual vampire shit where they're noticing blood pulsing in someone's vein. I always love that. But again, you guys, you think Eddie Murphy's hot as a vampire. Jesus, vampire Angela Bassett is something. Another different level of hot.
Oh. So she goes and finds Max and says that this is not what she asked for. I told you she didn't ask for this. She said yes to the sex. She didn't say yes to the vampire shit, okay? He says that he has given her the gift of eternal life and that she always has been different and she thinks this is all a dream. He says that she can go back to her life or she can stay with him and live the truth, like live her truth.
Yeah.
He says that her father sent him and that he was a vampire. And she's still really hesitant about being a vampire. She's like, no, the fuck I'm not.
You would be, yeah.
Right? Like, you're
natural
talking crazy.
reaction. I suppose, though, I don't know. If Eddie Murphy was like, come walk with me through the night. I know this is a bad accent, but live with me forever or some shit like that. I think I'd go. I'm sorry. Fuck everybody. I got nothing left to lose.
Right.
I'm being a vampire with sexy
You're saying
Eddie
I don't
Murphy.
need a job and we can fuck like that all the time?
We can fuck like this all the time. All I
Okay,
got to
I'm
do is
good.
eat a person every now and then. I just got to eat this white bitch in the park.
Let's
cool.
do it.
Let's do this shit. See, this is why it's so good that the supernatural doesn't exist. It is so good for us because I'd already fucking sold my soul to the devil. I'd made a deal with a fucking ghost. I'd be fucking a vampire. Werewolves. I'd be taking it from werewolf. It just would not.
All of it.
It would not be good. It would not be a good thing.
The only thing you don't want to be is a zombie.
Exactly. Yeah, the most unsexiest of all the movie monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, Frankenstein's monster may be a little less sexy unless, you know, what's going on down there.
Right.
We talked about that in our Frankenstein episode. Like, well, what's going on in the pants there? You think he's got a big schlong? And so, you know, then there's that, you know. So, like, maybe he's good. Maybe he makes up. But maybe Frankenstein's monster is funny. I don't know. He could be telling jokes. Big tall dude with a big square head. Oh yeah, he's got some jokes.
He's fine. He's
got some jokes. But yeah, the zombie. You know they smell. And then you got like shit coming off of them, and like, you know, they're always trying to eat your face. And it's
Right.
just the most unsexiest of all the things. They tried to make zombies sexy in that Warm Bodies movie, but that was just stupid.
So are zombies like the meth heads of monsters?
Yes.
Okay.
Like Dracula's reading and like just gets a knock on the door. It says, "Oh, the zombie's back." Oh, fuck. Okay. I don't think he saw me. I turned off the lights. And just fucking zombies outside. Come on, man. I just need a little bit of money for the bus. Just $1.75, man. Just for a little bit of bus money. Come on.
Anyway. Anyway, back to our movie, okay?
Okay.
So Justice goes to see Dr. Zico, and he tells the doctor that Rita has changed and tells him about her painting.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shows him a new painting that she's done of her kissing Max, I assume is who it is.
Yeah.
And the doctor says that he used to be in love with Rita's mom, but Rita's mom succumbed to the powers of the vampire, and she ended up having Rita.
Fine. But at the same time, did we really need Dr. Zico being connected in that way?
No.
It feels too much. It feels like, how is everybody so connected?
That's what I don't understand.
Her father sent him, and he knew Rita's father, and Rita's father also knew fucking Zico. Zico was in love with it. That's just too much.
But how did Zico? Yeah, that's what I want to know. How did Zico wind up from the Caribbean to Brooklyn? And Rita wound up from
it's just more plot
Caribbean
threads that we did not need.
No.
It could have been dropped. You could have done something else cooler. You could have had more bodies piling up.
Right.
Not a big body count in this movie.
Mm-mm.
You know, what do you got? Nikki, the two mobsters,
Mm-hmm.
Guido.
No, Guido didn't die.
Oh, he didn't kill Guido?
He killed Guido.
Yeah,
Right.
He quilled him. He quilled him.
The preacher.
Yeah, the preacher.
Yeah.
So you got 5 dead bodies?
Yeah.
You got 5. I guess that's good, but
It's okay.
it's okay. I could have used more.
Well, we got the
vampire
cat
now.
and the dog.
Oh yeah, if you count the cats and dogs,
Right.
it's up to 7. So I suppose that's good. You know, I don't know. I could have used more death.
Right.
Like I really wanted to see Eddie Murphy doing some people in for substance. You know,
Right.
sustenance. God damn, I can't talk tonight.
But the doctor tells Justice that he needs to kill Max before Rita feeds for the first time.
Yeah.
So they are on a mission.
Which again, he did. They don't stop the movie dead for that either. You know, it's not like this long drawn out scene. It just kind of gives you the info and then they go with it. Which again, I appreciate a lot. Like,
oh yeah.
It seems like I've seen a lot of indie films, and it seems like a lot of indie filmmakers, whenever they do a vampire movie, they want to explain what a vampire is. It's like, you don't need to. You can just tell we get it.
Yeah, we know what vampires.
Like, even though I'm nitpicking with this movie just to make fun, like just to have a little fun and tell some jokes, but really like Max's powers and limitations and stuff, they don't fucking matter.
No.
Like, he's a vampire, he's a supernatural creature. I'll go with whatever you have him doing.
Right. Tell me what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So, as we're watching them talk, we are also watching Max and Rita about to feed on someone in the park. And Max ends up feeding on this one a little bit, and Rita is about to, but she gets too scared.
We can't feed on a white lady. They'll be on us in a day.
He was
the
like,
cops will be down here in a second.
He was like, she deserves it. How do you know that?
She's just out here in the park walking her dog. I don't know if she's walking her dog. He would have killed the dog if she was, but still, like, I don't know. She deserved it.
I don't know either. But anyway, so Rita ends up running away.
Yeah.
And words just succumbed to me. Anyway, she runs to the cemetery. I'm assuming to her mother's grave.
How did everyone end up in Brooklyn? I do.
That's what I was saying a few minutes ago.
The only one I understand who's in Brooklyn is fucking Max. I get it because he came on the ship. But why is her mom buried here? I thought she was the pioneer of the Caribbean supernatural studies.
I know, but then why did she go to Brooklyn to do that?
Were they in Brooklyn this entire time? Did they move from the Caribbean to Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it like a before she had Rita kind of situation?
I guess.
Maybe she fled the vampire to come to Brooklyn.
I guess.
Maybe that's how that worked.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care.
That'll be in that Caribbean vampire prequel.
Okay.
Vampire resort,
Right.
A vampire resort in the Caribbean.
Anyway.
Vampires of the Caribbean. We'll get Johnny Depp. It'll be his comeback. I'm a vampire. Worst vampire I've ever heard of. But you have heard of my vampireness.
Are you done?
You can have a whole scene where like fucking Amber Heard shits on a vampire's bed.
God.
I apologize, everybody.
Anyway. So
how does Johnny Depp keep coming up on this episode? How does that keep happening? Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, you guys. I apologize. I apologize to my co-host here. She's about to fucking jump up and kick me in the head. Anyway,
so Rita runs, I assume, to her mother's grave. I don't know. She's in this graveyard. She's praying. She's crying. Well, Max grabs her and takes her home because she needs to rest because she's becoming weak because she needs to eat. So Max gets to Juliet's. They're getting in the car. He says that they're going to try to leave by dawn.
Right.
So back at the house, Rita says that she wants to die, and Max says that he will find someone for her to feed on. That's when Silas comes in, and Max is going to take this as an opportunity, and he's going to use Silas. But right when Rita is about to suck Silas's neck, Justice comes running in with Dr. Zico.
Which thankfully, because we didn't want to see John Witherspoon eat it.
No,
that would have been sad.
That would have been, that's really weird. So Julius tries to fight them, but he gets his eyeball knocked out. So he's now looking for his eyeball. And Dr. Zico stabs Max in the stomach. And Max says, that's not my heart. That's my stomach.
I love that because it is kind of funny because you're like, why did he stab him in the stomach? I thought this guy was like this big vampire hunter.
Right.
And he's like, no, that is my stomach. This is my heart.
Right.
Stomach, hot. Stomach, hot.
So he ends up grabbing Rita and going to leave.
Yeah.
So Justice goes into the room with the coffin. So I guess I didn't catch that they had gone in that room.
It's like also a secret room. Yeah, he just kind of grabs Rita and just kind of disappears somewhere. And
Justice finds the secret room and he goes in there and the coffins are there.
Yeah. So like this was supposed to be a lot more climatic than it is. Even though it's decent, it's fine.
Yeah.
It was supposed to take place on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh.
Like just this big old climatic final scene at the Brooklyn Bridge, but Paramount just cut the fucking funding.
They're like, yeah. No.
Well, I guess we're just going back to Max's apartment.
Right. We spent all this money on this decor.
Yeah, you might as well get your money's worth.
So Justice has the dagger from the doctor and he opens the coffin, prepared to kill Max. Mm-hmm. But when he opens it, it's Rita inside. And she says it's too late for her, and now it's too late for him.
Which you're getting a lot of really cool fucking makeup effects in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the vampire makeup and stuff is really fucking good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. So Max comes in, and Max and Justice are fighting. And it's funny because Justice really thinks that he's going to hurt Max.
Again, I'm not... Justice is... Mitch fucking Hardapple here thinks he's gonna fist fight a vampire.
Right.
And
but Rita's here to save the day. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Rita punches Justice, and she's going to bite him. But first, she goes to kiss Max, and she tells him that part of her really loves him.
Yeah.
But then she stabs him in the heart and says that part of her needs to die. But that part of her needs to die. Yeah, that part of it.
It's really cool. It's really cool seeing that her and Eddie Murphy have together. It's
because pretty... you don't expect it.
Yeah, and Eddie Murphy looks as ghoulish as he possibly can in this because he's gone full fucking vampire here.
Yeah.
A big old brow and shit. I like that kind of design when they with a vampire where they try to make their features look more like bat-like.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's cool looking, man. Yeah. I love that when they do that.
And they change their noses and stuff, too. I like that.
The biggest movie that did that really to an even greater effect was fucking From Dusk Till Dawn, which came out in 96, a year later. All the vampires in that movie look like bats.
That's true. That's true. So she stabs him, and he ends up falling back into his coffin. And then the whole building starts to shake as Justice and Rita are trying to leave. And then all the windows burst out. And there's like this explosion thing or whatever that busts the windows out. And when it stops, everything goes back to normal. Like before Max had like straightened up the apartment and stuff and had all this fancy shit.
Yeah.
It goes back to Julius's apartment.
Yeah.
So everything's back to normal except Julius. He is still a ghoul.
Yeah, he's still fucking falling apart.
And yeah, he's still kind of fucked up or whatever. Now he's missing an eye. At some point in this, his arm falls off. Like, he's just all kinds of fucked up. But they still have the limo.
Yeah. And
Julius and Silas are in the limo. And he finds Max's ring. And he puts it on. Well, this makes him turn into a fly-ass fucking vampire.
Man, Kadeem Hardison looks like a cool fucking vampire at the end of this fucking movie. Like, this is cool. I like that Julius gets a good ending.
I do too.
Here. Yeah, it's nice. And that's the end.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, you know what? I miss when a movie would just fucking end.
Yeah.
You know? Would you just fucking end? Maybe you go out on a good note, whatever, but you just fucking end. You're to those credits in 2 seconds and there's no stinger.
Right.
There's no stinger.
I like that. I like the way they ended this because Julius could have got a sequel.
Yeah, you could have had, like, I don't know, another vampire in Brooklyn or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool.
The new vampire.
I don't see it as needing a sequel, really.
No, it doesn't need one.
Yeah, but if you could take
had
it
a good story.
You could vampire in Brooklyn 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy could come back and do a sequel. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
He probably won't. He was really...
This is a long time ago.
He was really upset about that wig.
This is a long time
ago.
Yeah.
Well, A Vampire in Brooklyn was released to catch the Halloween holiday on October 27th, 1995.
Nice.
I think it's a good spooky Halloween movie. I don't know. Of course, with two big names like Wes Craven and Eddie Murphy attached, you know, this was Wes Craven's 12th movie.
Wow.
And Eddie Murphy's attached to this thing. The draw was enough to pull $35 million against its $14 million budget. So not really exactly a flop, but despite making a bit of money, it was very critically panned at the time. At the time, this was seen as like a lesser film for both Craven and Murphy. Crazy enough, they would, like I said, they both go on to do massive fucking movies. Craven with Scream and Eddie Murphy with The Nutty Professor. But this movie still has a lot of negative reviews, and largely a lot of people didn't care for this at the time, and even now, it still has its detractors. I loved it. I saw it back then in theaters, and it's been one of those weird movies I love revisiting. It feels weird, like
right.
It feels like a very weird movie to come out, like for Eddie Murphy to do.
It's okay. So you know how we watch these comedy horror movies,
yeah,
and they do a good job of like melding this all together. This doesn't do quite that.
It's not as good,
right? It's a good movie. Like,
yeah,
I'll talk about how I feel at the end, but it doesn't do that really good melding of comedy and horror.
No, it's. I think it leans
You're
too
sad
much.
About it.
Yeah, it leans. Well, not really. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best I can say about this. It's fun, like, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a very funny movie.
Right.
And it's not a very scary movie, but I won't put it in that category to where, what do I do with this? You know, because we talked about that on horror comedies and stuff like that, that like a lot of horror comedies, you don't have much comedy to it, and the horror isn't very good. And so then you're left with a movie that you don't really know what to make of.
Right.
Like, it's just kind of almost unwatchable for some of these horror comedies. But this one, it doesn't get there, even though, like you said, it doesn't blend those two genres together as well as it could.
But it's not horrible.
No, I think if Eddie Murphy was a bit more funny. But then again, I like seeing the more serious parts of this movie with Eddie Murphy in it. I don't necessarily want that to be.
I don't want it to be more funny.
Yeah, same. So this is almost a horror movie with comedic elements.
Yes, I could see that.
If you want to do it. I mean, the funniest laugh out loud moments come from Julius and Silas.
Yes.
That's where a lot more of your funny moments come from. Eddie Murphy as the preacher. That's a big laugh for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Wes Craven definitely wanted more of that type of behavior and stuff like that from Eddie Murphy.
We didn't get it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I love Wes Craven, but I would like to see this played more seriously. I wonder what that would have looked like. Like, because there are parts of this movie where you're watching Eddie Murphy and he's playing a villain really well, especially towards the end of this movie. He's scary.
Oh, yeah.
And like, he's imposing throughout this movie too, as a vampire and stuff like that. He wore like platform shoes a little bit to give him a lift, to make him a little taller too. So that's why he seems a lot more imposing in this movie than anything you've ever seen him as.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, it was critically panned. Roger Ebert gave it 1 out of 4 stars, which, I always mention. I think that's an ongoing theme of these episodes. I always mention what Robert Ebert thought about this movie.
Right.
That's my favorite thing to do because I have a love-hate relationship with Roger Ebert. But he gave it 1 out of 4 stars, saying the movie is unpleasant and darker looking than the film Seven, but without the purpose.
Right.
Mostly his complaint really boiled down was kind of the same of every other critic. The movie wasn't funny and it wasn't scary. That's what a lot of people felt about this. I don't know. It's odd.
Yeah.
You're definitely correct about that. It's not like a really good horror comedy, but it's also not a bad one.
Right.
But to me, Vampire Brooklyn's, it's kind of like a wine, man. At the time it was bottled, it's sour, and it's not great, especially when held up to other wines, being other vampire movies, of the time. But you let it age and give it a proper time, and it turns out great over a few decades. You watch this now, and it's fun. Man,
right.
It is a fun, refreshing movie. It's a good hangover flick. You could toss it on when you're not feeling too good, and it's pretty good. Nothing's too loud or too obnoxious or anything like that. There also isn't anything deep to it or hidden meanings or anything you got to like sit there and read between the lines of. So if you're not a fan of that kind of movie, this is a good movie for that. And it is what it is. Yeah. It's a fun vampire flick. It's funny. It's a little spooky in parts, and it came out during the time everyone was talking about vampires way too seriously.
Right.
So it's nice, and it's fucking great to see a vampire movie that's not just white dudes being sexy.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, we got too much of that before Blade and stuff, and I don't mean to turn this into a discussion about race, but seriously, during the 90s. Up until around Blade with Wesley Snipes, we didn't really have a good vampire movie with a black character in it.
Right.
Not very good. In fact, I can name them all up until this point. You had Ganja and Hess in 1973, Vamp in 1986, Blackula and Blackula Scream in 72, and I think 73 respectively. And all those being from the 70s and 80s though. But for the 90s, there's 0.
Wow.
Up until, like I said, this. So I think that's what makes this one stick out amongst the plethora of vampire flicks of the time. And that's why I kind of asked that question earlier. Do you think I don't like to say that because from a movie point of view, this isn't a good movie.
Right.
Like, but I do feel like maybe people are a little harsh on it because it is.
I feel like people
predominantly
would pass on it because it is.
Yeah, it's predominantly people of color. You know, you look at Death by Temptation, which is an excellent fucking horror movie. I mean, for what it is, it's an excellent movie, but people pass on that. And I think largely because it is a African American cast.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and you go back and look at one of the most insane and inventive vampire movies to date, Ganja and Hess, like I mentioned earlier with Dwayne Jones. That movie is an amazing vampire movie that never gets talked about really, outside of people who are fans of those kind of movies like me.
Right. You love that movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. That movie is artistically, it's probably the finest movie you've ever seen. It's amazing. But like you don't hear about Ganja and Hess when people are talking about vampires, do you?
No.
No. It's a very different kind of vampire movie. Like I said, it's very inventive. But like I said, I do wonder if this one does get the negative aspects because of that.
It might, yeah.
Because like I said, you look at Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which again, excellent movie, but there's parts of that movie that are very fucking stupid. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Cary Elwes is a cowboy. Come on, guys. Why was Cary Elwes not fucking Jonathan Harker in that movie? Why did they put poor Keanu Reeves with a British accent?
I don't know.
Anyway. Gary Oldman as Dracula, that was amazing. But like I said, it's something to think about. But I think that's what makes this one kind of stick out for me because it's so different than all the stuff we were getting around that time. It's the only, I think you had Dracula Dead and Loving It and Buffy the Vampire Slayer were the other vampire comedies that I can think of right now.
Right.
And those, I don't know. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I know everybody loves that movie and it's been reevaluated and people absolutely love it, but I'm not a big fan of that movie. I
didn't even like the TV show.
I like the TV show.
I don't know. I could never get into it. Because I think I watched it too late.
Yeah, probably.
For the time, I probably would have liked it, but I watched it.
You might like it now.
I tried to watch it a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah. That's right. You did not enjoy yourself. I can't rewatch that series. I'll give you that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a rewatchability thing. I don't know. All Josh Whedon's stuff is like that, though. I can't rewatch any of his shit. Not because of the stuff we found out. I've just always thought Josh Whedon was a hack. I'm sorry, you guys. It just feels like he steals from other material. But anyway, but yeah, you look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The only thing it really had going for it was fucking Rutger Hauer as a vampire. You cast Rutger Hauer as a vampire, I'm with you. So like that's the only positive point of that movie I can remember. Luke Perry is in that movie.
Oh my god,
an early Luke Perry, but yeah. So I just think this one is kind of a diamond in the rough here.
Yeah, I could see that.
But anyway, enough about me. What did you think about 1995's Vampire in Brooklyn?
I really liked it.
Yeah?
It was a very smooth watch.
It's fun. It's easy to watch. It moves it's great paced.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want anything more or anything less.
I agree. I mean, like I said, the correlation between the comedy and the horror is a little splotchy to me.
I agree. Yeah.
But it didn't take me out of it.
No. It's kind of like, it's weird at first,
right.
Like I was watching it again. I've watched it twice for this episode and I watched it again and I was really noticing like the very beginning when you first meet Eddie Murphy as a vampire, you're a little weirded out. It feels a little weird
because I was like, I didn't know what to expect. Was he going to be serious or was he going to be funny? I didn't know.
And I think that's how audiences was. And I think it did lose them. But for me, it kind of catches me, as I'm watching it, because you get through that like little scene and then you kind of realize what it's doing and what he's doing in this movie. And you just go with it for the rest of it. You get used to it
Yeah. But like I said, none of it takes me out of it.
No.
I would have liked to see it like just a straight vampire comedy, or this as just a horror movie, like you said before.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it could have gone either way, and it would have been good.
Yeah, I still would definitely love to see Eddie Murphy in a straight horror movie.
Yeah.
Him just doing straight horror. Because I'll tell you, like, the closest he's comes to really playing straight is a few scenes in 48 Hours and another 48 Hours, which I think Eddie Murphy did not want to be in that movie. So he's not as jokey in that movie as he was in the first 48 Hour movie. But, like, he can play serious. And then you watch My Name is Dolomite. You know, where he is playing serious in scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's not this laugh out loud joke. And then you're like, oh, this guy's good. Like, he's a very good actor. Like, I think he's kind of underrated in that way.
Right. Okay, so one thing from this movie is I decided I want a ghoul. Can I have one of those?
I just feel like he's going to be dropping body parts here and there. I mean, Julius, I think, loses his dick at one point, but like,
no, he lost his hand, his arm, his eyeball, and his ear.
But at the end of the movie, he checks his crotch and he's like, "Oh yeah, he's got a big old dick."
It just like grew bigger. That was it. I don't think he lost it. I think it just got bigger.
So you become a vampire in this universe and your dick gets bigger?
Yeah.
What is the drawback to being a vampire?
In this universe, nothing.
You get to sleep with Angela Bettis. You get to sleep with Angela Bassett and everything.
It sounds like a good time for me.
There's no drawbacks to being a vampire in this universe.
And you get to be in Brooklyn? Hell yeah.
Yeah, which again, this movie's gorgeous to look at. You know, I don't think I mentioned that much. The cinematography's great. The stuff that's filmed in New York is awesome. You know, you can definitely tell when it switches to Los Angeles. I can't point out the scenes, but you can definitely tell the few scenes that it's in Los Angeles.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about that. So we've watched plenty of movies in New York, based in New York and stuff like that. Is New York really trashy? Like dirty?
I think for this movie, because I think around 95 was when New York was really starting to clean up. Again, I don't live there.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you for sure. But I think around 95, it was really starting to clean up and getting to the point where we have now. Even though, you know, you hear from actual New Yorkers, they'll tell you it's still fucking dirty.
Right.
But like it's definitely a lot better than what you see in fucking Taxi Driver or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's this gross ass slum town. Like, it's a little better than it was then. But like, I don't know if it's as trashy as they make it look in this movie. Well,
okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not terribly trashy. It's not terrible, but that's what makes me feel like I know the difference between LA and New York.
You know, there's a definite feel to it. And I guess that's the only way I can explain it. Like, you watch this movie and when you consume as much New York stuff as I do and as much Los Angeles stuff as I do, you start fucking telling the difference.
Right.
And stuff like that. And there's just little parts that you're like, oh, this was definitely filmed in Los Angeles. You know, especially because a lot of the parts that they do that with, you don't pan to the skyline or anything like that. You don't look up.
Right.
Like,
right.
Because that's how you tell Los Angeles from New York. you look up, you know. But anyway, I don't know. I think this movie's great. I think it's a little underrated. I think there's a lot more hate than this movie deserves.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. I don't understand the hate from everybody that's commented about us doing an episode on this. They love it. So you know, maybe it just takes a horror fan to really truly appreciate this movie.
I guess so.
But anyway, that's Vampire in Brooklyn from 1995. Now, Next week, the shit is continuing. Not the shit. There's no shit here.
Okay.
But we are continuing listener request month with Street Trash. Okay. That's right. The fucking it's what I like to call a good old melt movie. just
What's that?
bodies melting. We got homeless people. We got some gang rape. It is.
So we're back in New York?
Oh yeah, we got severed dicks. You ready? You ready for
I guess so.
You ready for a trauma movie that isn't a trauma movie?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what we're having next week. And we'll announce who requested that on next week's episode. So be sure to tune in. If you are one of the 12 people that requested Street Trash, I picked one of you guys out of a hat. So I have a little program that I punch these in, and it randomizes it and it picks it.
Yeah.
So, hey, and also don't be deterred. If we didn't pick your movie this month, I put all that shit back into the request box and it gets randomized the next year. So, like, just because I didn't pick your movie this year doesn't mean I'll never pick you.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It just means, like, keep listening. But anyway, I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany. Stay horrific.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightofthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan, used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show on your social media. See you next week.
Oh no.